This is the only video that you will need to watch in order to understand what the fuck are imbalances in the market and how you can actually implement it within your strategy. We're going to cover what a fair value gap is and how to determine if it's a bullish gap or a bearish gap, as well as what are inverse fair value gaps. And I'll show you how to actually find them within the charts so that it's not just theory. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's actually jump in the charts and so that I can show you everything. All right. First, what the hell is a fair value gap? Think of it as a price imbalance, okay? So it's a 3-candle formation. Let's draw these things. Bro, I'm shit at drawing. Okay, whatever. Boom, candle, big Drake candle here. Yeah, girthy candle. Okay, and we're gonna do one more candle. Let's do it, this one like this. Okay, boom, perfect. So a fair value gap is a 3-candle formation where price moved so fast in one direction that it didn't fill in the normal buy and sell orders, okay? So it's like price skipped a step. As you can see here, candle 1 has its body here, as well as the wick that ends here. Candle 2 has a big body and the wick that ends here and here. Candle 3, same thing, big body, wick. So what is a fair value gap and how you identify it? Fair value gap is the imbalance or the gap that you find. Where the fuck is the, okay, there we go. So the fair value gap is the imbalance or the huge gap that you find in that middle candle. So it's right here, that gap between the wick of the first candle and the wick of the third candle, sorry. So in that case, that is a bullish fair value gap. Why? Because price is going up. Price went so high up and forgot to fill some orders. So price is going to revisit that area. So price will, for example, do that. How the fuck do I draw again? Bruh, okay, there we go. So price will go back here, fill in this fair value gap, and then start moving higher. But this is not going to happen with every single fair value gap. Please do not treat the fair value gap like a magical zone where every time you see it, you can take a fucking entry off of it and expect for the best, full port your account. No, because this is how you're going to get completely violated by the market. So for it to actually work when you're executing it, you can't just hop in it instantly. You need to have a proper strategy, a proper statistical edge for it to actually play out. But yeah, anyways, this is a textbook bullish fair value gap. One thing to mention with fair value gaps, in most cases, size doesn't matter, okay? It's not like real life. The fair value gap doesn't need to be packing. You don't need to be Drake. Don't worry about it. The fair value gap doesn't need to be Drake. As long as the wicks aren't overlapping each other, or as long as the wicks have at least a micro kind of gap, then you'll be fine. Obviously, if they're way too close to each other, let's say it's something like this, yeah, like, then just don't take it. Don't take it. It's too small. Now, to make it simple for you guys, a bearish fair value gap will be the complete opposite. So let me, boom. Okay, bearish fair value gap. We have a wick here, a candle, boom, boom, wick, then boom, Drake, and then, I don't know, Asian dude, boom. The bearish fair value gap, so as you can see, what is a fair value gap? First wick, first candles, second candle, third candle. The fair value gap is the gap that is in between the first and the third wick. Boom, this is the imbalance. Price is going to want to retest this level and go back down. So price is going to do this, bam, boom, shit the bed. What are inverse fair value gaps? An inverse fair value gap is, let's say we have, for a bullish context, let's say, we have, boom, a gap here. I mean, a candle here, a candle here, and a candle here. Obviously, the wick and the gap is going to be here. You might say, wow, this is a textbook bearish fair value gap. You might be right, but in that case, you're not. Why? Because sometimes price will completely disrespect this fair value gap. So what we're gonna do is draw here. So price will do this, boom. You might think it's gonna fill, boom, it's gonna be good, and then boom, price completely obliterates the fair value gap, rams the train on it. completely disrespects it. That is an inverse fair value gap. It can basically be used just like a break of structure. It's confirmation that price is going to reverse. So when you pair it with, for example, let's say a liquidity sweep, and then price instantly inverses a fair value gap, that's a textbook entry, in my opinion. It's very, very high probability that it will play out in your favor. So just a quick recap. Fair value gaps are a continuation confluence. You don't take them without having any previous confirmation, for example, like a liquidity sweep and a break of structure and then a fair value gap. And the inverse fair value gaps are fair value gaps that got completely disrespected, meaning price closed above the gap. Now, just how would you actually implement them within your strategy, and how would you actually take a trade off of it? So for fair value gaps, in my opinion, it is one of the best continuation confluence. You have order blocks, you have equilibrium, you have breaker blocks and all of these. But in my opinion, fair value gaps are the best. The best way to take them, in my opinion, is to take a liquidity sweep and then a break of structure. Then price is going to retrace into a fair value gap, take another positive or a bearish candle closure, depending on if the gap is bullish or bearish, and then take the trade off of it. What's even better, in my opinion, and what is my favorite way to actually take trades, is to have a liquidity sweep, okay? And then a 5-minute break of structure. And then I would go on the 1 minute, see a fair value gap, wait for it to be filled. When price fills it, and then it creates an inverse fair value gap on another fair value gap. To me, this is the best entry that you can take to actually have the higher chance to win. So it would look like this. Let me draw it on the charts. You have price that does this, boom, liquidity sweep, boom, break of structure. So here we have the liquidity sweep, the break of structure right here. Let's say we have a fair value gap right here. Then price retests into it. And then we have a bearish fair value gap here, for example. Price retests this fair value gap and then boom, closes above that bearish fair value gap, and we're on a bullish context. This is textbook. What the fuck? Whoa. Okay, there we go. This is a textbook crazy long position. Boom. That's enough yapping, enough theory. Let me actually show you everything in the charts. Okay, boom. Let's go on the 5 minutes so that you guys can actually find them. All right. See, I just opened the charts and there's already a fair value gap. This is a perfect example of a textbook fair value gap. So behind that trade, if I remember the context, there was a high time frame liquidity sweep. Yeah, so for example, here we swept liquidity on the 5 minute. We got an inverse fair value gap right here on this candle. And also mainly the actual inverse was here on this candle. It was during London session. Yeah, exactly. Inverse this fair value gap, that means, so we have liquidity sweep plus inverse fair value gap. That kind of is a replacement for a break of structure that shows that the trend shifted and the order flow of the market is no longer bearish, but is actually bullish. Meaning, what happens? Price rams up, inverses this fair value gap and this one, complete destruction. Now, what does price do? We have price shot up, okay? We have some remaining orders that haven't been filled. So we created this fair value gap and this fair value gap. Let me draw them up on the charts for you. Boom. Let's do it in purple so that you can see it. So we have these two fair value gaps. What does price do? Retest into this. Boom. Continues printing. Same here. This is, oh wow, this is such a nice example. Okay, wow, okay, perfect. What happens? Liquidity sweep. Inverse fair value gap. So this fair value gap got inversed. This would be an amazing trade to take. Boom, right here. You take shorts, you're printing. Another fair value gap. Here it's an actual fair value gap, not an inverse. Boom. The gap, so candle 1, candle 2, candle 3, gap between candle 1 and 2. Boom, this is a bearish fair value gap. Price retests into it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times actually, and then boom. Holy shit, Drake candle to the downside. Literally Drake's dick on the fucking charts. Boom. What else? What else? I can find so many examples. This is an example of a fair value gap that didn't get filled. Sometimes price just won't fill the fair value gap. Sometimes price is gonna be gay as fuck and just not fill the fair value gap. You're gonna be waiting here on your ass and you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna wait for price to fill the fair value gap. Yeah. And then price just edges you and goes without you. Shit happens. It happens all the time. It's okay. An example, for example here, bearish fair value gap getting invalidated. See, this is why it's also important to wait for confirmation. People will see this fair value gap, wait for price to test, and then they would see this candle and then boom, they would take a trade and then they would get fucked. As you can see here, boom, stop loss. That's why you have to wait to have a proper break of structure off of the fair value gap, or a just close below the lows, so that it actually proves that it's a valuable fair value gap. If it doesn't, there's a high chance it will get inverse, and here in that case it got inversed, and that would be boom, longs here on the candle that closes above, easy 1 to, oh, boom, yeah, easy 1 to something, 1 to 3, I think. Yeah, 1 to 3.7. Easy trades. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna find so many examples on the charts. What I recommend you to do is just go on the charts, spend 1 hour just finding fair value gaps on all the time frames. But yeah, now you know more than 90% of the traders who are blindly marking fair value gaps, taking trades off of them and hoping for the best. Because now you don't just mark the fair value gaps, you actually know why they're being here, why they are in the charts, and what's actually gonna happen once price reacts off of it. You know now that you need to be disciplined, that you need to know that you need to wait before taking a trade, to wait for more confirmation off of these fair value gaps and not just enter blindly just because you saw a fair value gap. But yeah, that's it for today's video. So if you found it valuable, just drop a like, comment, and subscribe so that you can see more videos that I'm going to post in a few days.